Go. Rebound. Come on, Tatar. Come on, buddy. Oh, what? Bro! Oh my god. Come on!
Hey, Spose, isn't your radio shift in 10 minutes?
Oh!
Na 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 na. 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 I wanna hold 'em like they do in Texas plays. Fold 'em, let 'em hit me, raise it, baby, stay with me. I love it. Looking intuition, play the cards with spades to start. And after he's been hooked, I'll play the one that's on his heart. Oh, 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 oh. I'll get him hot, show him what I got. Oh, 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 oh. I'll get him hot, show him what I got. Carry man, no he can't read my poker face. She's got me like nobody. Carry man, no he can't read my.
Good morning, beautiful. Actually, you know what? That's a lie. It's almost evening. Good afternoon, beautiful people. Pat McAfee for that one right there. Thank you very much, sir. Don't want to get copyrighted. We are currently coming to you live from Waynesburg University, Waynesburg, Pennsylvania, Buell Hall, Studio 3A. And guess who is joining me now? A man who the Italian mafia runs through his blood. This man has the greatest name I think I've ever heard in the 19 years of my existence. No questions asked. The ultimate Rizzler, Mr. Benicio DeFalco. How are you, good sir?
Thank you. It feels good to be on. I'm doing pretty good. I appreciate that intro.
Yeah, no. I've been I would be lying if I didn't say I didn't spend the past 2 days thinking of it. I'd be lying to you. I'd be lying. No, but I love it. I love having, like, you on or doing shows with you because it provides, because your knowledge of the game, especially for, like, basketball, is definitely there. And I feel like energy plus knowledge equals, like a perfect bowl of spaghetti. It's everything everybody
It's a good
needs.
way to describe it.
Especially meatballs. Especially meatballs. Don't forget the meatballs. Nonetheless, so we just went a week without March Madness, and that stinks mega bad. But tomorrow
We're back.
we're reunited, and it feels so good. Nonetheless, I won't sing it. I don't want to torture people. So we're gonna talk about both games for the whole hour because this is great stuff. This is exciting stuff. And this first game we're talking about is something. I mean, could you have predicted this?
First of all, I would like to say we're going towards the end of March Madness. I want to say it's been a great March. Like you said, we've been a week without it. I've been missing it. Our pit, we're rocking our pit today. They made the tournament for the first time in a while. You know, it's just been an entertaining tournament. No one could have predicted it. Like you said, FAU, San Diego State making it. FAU, a team nobody really had them here. I mean, they had a great regular season, going 33-3, but like regular season and tournament don't necessarily translate. I mean, we saw top seeds exit early, such as Arizona. You know, it's just tough to predict these things, and FAU making it, it's great for them. First time in school history.
Exactly. I mean, it's the same for two I know. I don't know about Miami's history. I know UConn's definitely done this more than enough.
Mm-hmm.
But no, you hit the nail on the head. First time in history ever we don't have a 1, 2, or 3 seed in the Final Four. We have a 4, 2 5s, and a 9. But like that ain't never been heard of before until now. And that of all years, I'm pretty sure this is. I mean, I feel like every year it's always, wow, this March has been the craziest March so far. No, this has been the craziest March so far.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Like you said, like it's almost every year we find ourselves saying, oh my God, this is the craziest March we've ever seen. But I would say this year's been one of the craziest.
Facts. No 5 seed. I've said it so much, you people are like, oh my God, we get it. No 5 seeds ever won the March Madness tournament. I think that's crazy considering we've had the highest seed ever won a March Madness tournament was a 9 or 8 seed Villanova back in the day. But no 5 seeds ever won it. Now 2 of the 4 are 5 seeds. And
That's a crazy fact.
I think we have a 50% chance. We basically have a 50% chance of a 5 seed being in the finals. Or, well, 25. 25% chance.
That's still a crazy fact.
That's still a good number.
For a 5 seed to never make it?
Well, both 5 seeds are going to be handed a very, very tough challenge this year because we'll start, as I mentioned, alluded to before, FEU and San Diego State. The best defensive college team this year, no question. Definitely earning themselves in the ranks of one of the best ever seen in March Madness. I think that's a fair statement to say. In San Diego State. I think it makes me laugh because we were talking off air. Their best percentage shooter with over 10 minutes is he averages 4.5 points a game, and it's just they're big guys. They're really good defensively. What scares me about San Diego State though is the late second half play. That's when it kind of gets turned around and they give up a few unnecessary
I completely
points.
agree with you. San Diego State, they've been a team where they've really strived off this first half. Their first half points and their success in the first half. I mean, they're a team that they haven't just beat like nobodies. They beat the number 1 seed Alabama. A lot of people at Alabama winning this whole tournament. And in that game, they beat them by 7. They had 9 steals and 8 blocks. Speaking of that defense, they got hype. This San Diego State team's gonna be hard to beat.
The second round, I want to pull up their bracket again. So in the second round of the official bracket, if you look at it against whenever they did take on Furman, all their blocks came in the second half. They were being outplayed defensively in the first half, and then the second half they just come out and they're blocking. Pretty sure it's like 5 or 7 blocks, and it just came out of nowhere, and it is an insane thing. And I think the most exciting game for San Diego State was against Creighton. Creighton.
Yeah.
No, Creighton.
I completely agree with you. I mean, it came down to the final call there. I mean, I think it was a foul personally.
Yeah, because he grabbed it. He did grab it. And it hurt because I was watching. I'm like, let's go. Like I'm a big Blue Jays fan.
Yeah.
Because of what I've seen from them so far. I mean, with Alexander as well. They finally made it Sweet 16. I was very happy to see it. And then San Diego State, for the first time in the whole tournament, to me, they were finally truly tested.
Yeah.
They were taken to their limits. And their coach admitted it after the game. He's like, hey, they deserve all the respect in the world. They pushed us to the limit. They gave them a full 40-minute contest. And honestly, it was my favorite game of the tournament so far.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Besides, actually, second game, Kansas State, Michigan State. But
yeah, I completely agree with you. This has been one of the greatest games in the tournament so far. I mean, you look at San Diego State coming into this game. They beat Bama, so you could say they almost had a little bit of momentum going into this game. Then they go on to beat Creighton. It comes down to that final call, which I said I think it was a foul. Some may argue, but it was very similar to the Super Bowl from a watching perspective, where I'm like, yeah, that was a foul, but man, is this a hard way to end the game. But it was the right call, so I have no complaints.
yeah, no, if you make the right, I mean, it's. They were talking about, especially with like Gene Steratore and Iron Eagle, they were doing an excellent job broadcasting that game, but they were talking about it, and Gene was like, I know people hate whenever a game is decided by a single call or a flag, but if it's the right call, make the call.
Yeah, there's like nothing
They're always told, swallow your whistles, but to me, I'd rather, like in that game, it stinks, but at the same time, it's like, I'd rather have the right call, called the right way, because he didn't, I mean, there's a chance he misses that shot if he doesn't grab him, realistically. Because the defense wasn't atrocious, but they were able to bring it in. And I think in that situation, when you're that player and you see them get that close, it's like, do anything, on any means necessary. There is a chance they don't call it. Unfortunately, they did. And then the inbound was, so, number 55, Creighton, his name's currently escaping me right now. Hold on, let me just look on the roster real quick. Actually, I think it was, I don't know, but nonetheless, for Creighton, whenever they were inbounding it, in high school he was their high school quarterback, so he's had experience. He's
got that decision making,
throwing those deep balls down there. It's Shireman, by the way, Mr. Shireman. He heaves this missile down there. Ball hits out of play with 0.2 seconds left. It's not when the ball crosses the line; it's when the ball hits the ground out of bounds, off of the baseline. And there's about 0.2 seconds left from what Gene Steratore said. And all of a sudden, you just get it waved off and everyone starts cheering, rushing the court. And I was like, what? What are we doing? and they won the game. They determined the game was over. I don't know how all that works, but nonetheless, San Diego State
It's like
honestly
a timing thing.
that game was going to go in San Diego State's favor. Creighton had held multiple leads. They'd given up multiple leads, but they earned them back, but just never were able to hold away from the Aztecs.
And if you look at like the stats towards that game, neither team really led in any major category. You know, they were really evenly fought. I would say this is one of the better matchups we've seen in March Madness. Like you said, this is one of the better games, and I think it comes down to that, just being evenly matched all around. I would say.
Yeah, no, and it's funny. San Diego State had 11 more shots than Creighton did, and Creighton shot better. They shot better. 3-pointers, 2 for 17, 3 for 13.
Neither team really shot good from
They
three.
couldn't hit from outside the arc.
But I would like to say, like, looking at the stats, like, across the board for March Madness, only some teams really shoot that three good. Like, I would say it's almost kind of rare. Because, you know, you're going to have those teams that can get hot from three.
Yeah.
But, like, with the teams remaining, there's not too many of them.
No, there's not. No, it's no team remaining is really a good 3-point dominant shooting team. I'd expect everything to be inside, honestly, in the key or the paint. I wouldn't be surprised if we. It's a battle when you got FAU and you got San Diego State, who has a lot of tall dudes who are able to really rebound efficiently.
That's one of the, like, exciting.
They both had 37 rebounds, by the way.
That's, like, one of the exciting things I would say of this Final Four is, like, they're, like, I wouldn't say every team's the same, obviously, but, like, they all got height. They all play defense. They do good rebounding. Like, they're just very even. And I like these matchups. I think FAU and San Diego State will be one of the better ones.
Yeah. No, there's no question. San Diego State last week, 37 rebounds. Only 13 offensive ones. The rest were defensive. That's 24. I mean, everything else was pretty much similar. Each team 11 fouls. Turnovers. Creighton had 3 more. But, I mean, it was, again, it's fairly even. I don't think there was any dominant playing. I think what's funny is, for Creighton, they had all of their starters had over 30 minutes. They had 1, 2, 3, 4 bench players. No one played over 6 minutes. Had all their starters playing. 3 of their 5 had over 10 points. But again, it doesn't matter. But they still do deserve a lot of credit. I did want to make sure they did get their moment in the spotlight here, because again, first ever Elite Eight, because they always struggle in past the Sweet 16.
Yeah.
Or really even around the second round.
It was good to see them make the jump. Like, San Diego State's always a team where, like, going into making my bracket, I'm like, oh, that's one of those teams where, like, they're not, they usually make some exits, but I usually have them going pretty far just because, like, a what if.
Yeah.
You know, when going into the bracket, you're going to have those teams where you're like, maybe they can get hot, and San Diego State's been one of those teams the past couple years, and I'm happy they finally made the jump.
Me too. Very much agree with that. So, for FAU, just to give some credit there, they beat, honestly, the hottest team in all of March Madness, Kansas State, in the Elite Eight, 79-76 win. I mean, Noel he just recently, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, announced he's going to NBA draft. Congratulations to him. Congratulations to Johnson as well. He earned himself.
Did he declare?
I don't think he didn't declare, but I like making mention to what he was able to overcome and do. Turns down, first of all, if anyone who turns down $5 million, you have to check for a fever instantaneously. But
he came back and he had a mission.
He's locked. Yeah. Locked in. We say it like jokingly, but he was locked in. He was their best shooter overall coming into the tournament. But no, FAU they outplayed Kansas State to the very end. Again, no team was really good. 9 for 23 out of FAU for 3-pointers, 10 for 22 for Kansas State. Free throws, Kansas State missed. They shot 66 from the free throw line, which is kind of odd. FAU shot 81%. If there is ever a red flag, it's this. FAU out-rebounded Kansas State 44-22. They literally doubled Kansas State's rebound total.
Yeah, when I was watching this game and looking at the stats, that was the major thing that caught my eye was they doubled their rebounds. And like talking about Kansas State a little bit, like me personally watching them throughout the tournament, they're one of the most exciting teams in this tournament, one of the most fun teams to say. Like you said, Marquise Noel, he's one of the best natural passers I've seen. I mean, just his ability to get people open and get baskets for his teammates, it just gave Kansas State limitless opportunities to score the ball. And then, like I said, Marquise Noel, he's first players to get 50-plus assists in the tournament since 2005.
Yes,
that's a long time. But like FAU, they just fought hard in this game, got the rebounds. They didn't shoot. I mean, they shot 9 for 23 for 3. That's not like great, but that's not awful.
No.
You know, you'll take
That's
that.
27
Yeah,
points.
Yeah, you'll take that if you're FAU.
Yeah, no, and Noel scored. He dropped 30
Mm-hmm.
in this game. Johnson dropped 9, but Johnson's definitely a bigger presence. Noel made 5 of the 10 threes Kansas State had. 12 assists. 12 assists in this game. This man,
He was a double machine.
his ankle was like just wrapped up, and instead he's just heaving these balls into these lanes that are immensely small, but somehow they find a way into his players' hands. That alley oop was
Insane.
woo! That was a really good alley oop. But I give credit because I said Kansas State. I was like, you know what? I think they're overhyped. I think they're overrated. I said they're out Sweet 16. They made it to the Elite 8, and they proved they were definitely a good 3 seed. Honestly, the hottest team, especially after that Michigan State win. So, fair love to them.
These are two. I hate to cut you off.
No,
These
no,
are two very different teams, though. I would like to say because looking at FAU, they don't really have a star player. They're more of a team oriented. But looking at Kansas State, they got those 2 guys, so that's why I think FAU just was able to come on top. Just their defense coming down to it.
FAU, they're on their stat sheet. They're right now. So they're look at me. I'm a silly goose. You know why? Because I'm out here. I looked up the FAU stuff and I pulled up their football team on the ESPN. I'm a goon. I'm sorry about that.
You're all good. Some people would say though, like FAU didn't like necessarily deserve to win this game because looking at the stats, Kansas State had 13 steals, the FAU's 4. They also had Kansas State had 12 turnovers, FAU had 22.
To me,
So that's sloppy basketball if that's me.
And my second most important stat that doesn't always get the love is the rebounds. So
for sure.
And whenever you shoot a ball, why do people just stand there and watch the shot?
Rebounds have a lot to do in this game. Just for the fact that you can easily get second chance points off a rebound because you get a rebound, it's pretty easy to get it right back up. Just depending who's there. Yeah.
Kick it out.
Yeah.
Kick it out. As soon as you kick it out, you got 20
So
seconds.
those second chance points are huge in the tournament.
I'll never understand why teams don't just let the clock fizzle out. Let a play develop. Now, granted, if you got 5 seconds left and you're inbounding off the baseline, yeah, okay, that's different. But like, if I am inbounding the ball for score and I got 30 seconds, I'm taking my time the entire time because I want a play to develop. A foul could be called. Anything can happen. So, don't understand that. Granted, I'm not a head coach. They probably know more things than I do. Wouldn't be surprised. Nonetheless, let's focus in on this game. So, FAU, San Diego State. San Diego State, their best shooter right now, shooting 62.7%. I lied. FAU's is shooting 60.7. San Diego State's is 58. Granted, for San Diego State, that player, he's shooting 4.5 points a game. So that kind of don't let that mislead you in a sense. But FAU's got some really good numbers over here on the stat sheet that you got to look at and be aware of. And I like that you said I'd rather have to me 5 players that can put up 10, 20 points each than just 2 players that put up 30, 40. Because to me, I want to have a team that I have depth on and can work with.
And that's what it comes down to in this tournament. You always have like the top draft prospects going into the tourney, and it's become like I'm trying to think how to put this, like almost routine for those teams to exit early because it just comes down to that one player compared to the other 5.
No, it really does. San Diego State's going to be really pushed to the limits here. I think last weekend they had their biggest test. I think this week's, honestly, is going to be the biggest test.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? I lied. I mean, each week they play, it's a newly biggest test. The national championship, if they're going to make it, that's going to be their biggest test. But I mean, you got Algiel, A-Rod, Barnett, Bradley, honestly, who's distinguished as their best player because he averages the most minutes. He was really putting a foul trouble last time. They really were testing him, Creighton. They were testing him the last game, Mr. Bradley. He shoots 40%. He's 36 from the outside the arc, averages 4 rebounds a game, 2 assists. You got to be aware of some of these guys. San Diego State may not have the depth like FAU does, but they got some big names and big dudes. I like to say dudes, but still. Nonetheless, but some of you might not know this. Some of you may not paid attention, which is a natural travesty while you were paying attention to the Benny Dini show, I may have mentioned this. FAU's capacity at their stadium, 2,900 seats. They've been playing in venues that are 11, 16, 17,000. NRG Stadium is the home of the Houston Texans. 71,000 seats. That is 35 times the size of FAU's home gym. Is that a factor? Is that a factor to it?
Early in the tournament, I would say yes, but I think FAU's almost used to the crowd now. What you said, 35 times, correct? That's a big number, but I think FAU's almost used to that, and with the crowd, like they might honestly be able to get a little bit of momentum in that stadium because, like I said, FAU might be America's team in this tournament.
America's team, America. Honestly, that's a fair take. I hope they just don't get caught up into it.
Yeah,
that's the one thing. Don't let it. It's funny. I was doing I do the recap games for softball, and I was talking to our star pitcher Sidney Wilson. I said, "How do you guys not get wrapped up in the moment? Because they are 13-3. They're off a championship. How do you just stay in the moment? How do you stay locked in?" And she goes, "We just play one. You got to focus one game at a time.
You got to take it game by game."
And
I think that's what FAU's been doing this whole time. They don't really take anything for granted, and they've just kept it rolling this whole time.
They indeed have, and they've put themselves on the map. They've helped put the FAU Owls on the map, and I made the fatal mistake with them and San Diego State both. You know what? This is the round. They're done. Next round. Nope. This time they're definitely done.
They just keep on fighting, man.
Those darn Owls. I give them a lot of credit. So with the last 5 minutes of this first part of the segment, we are going to come down to game picks. Benicio, the stage is yours. Go ahead.
As much as I would like to say FAU here, I'm going to go San Diego State. But I would say I think this is going to be a low-scoring game, upper 50s, lower 60s. I think San Diego State comes on top, but I think it's going to be a hard-fought game, coming in within, I would say, like 4 to 5 points. But give me San Diego State.
San Diego State, give it to them. I'm gonna join you on this train. We agreed earlier in the week. I'm gonna agree with you this week. San Diego State, to me, all around. They've been the last week they got put to the limits. They were put up against the ropes. Honestly, this week I think they kind of get back to where they were. They got a lot of big guys who can really get up in the boards and score. To me, that's the big key thing. So San Diego State, they got one person who averages more than 10 points a game. Then they got, just to count out for you guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 guys who average over 6 points a game. That's 42 points right there.
Yeah.
Plus the 12 another guy averages.
That's real solid. That's
54 points, right exactly in the wheelhouse where you're saying. To me, that's where I'm going to lock it in at. I think San Diego State's able to, where if FAU is going to win, it's going to be because in the last 5 minutes.
Give me low scoring, highly contested, but give me a defensive type of game.
Between the FAU out-rebounding and San Diego State being able to shut down definitely outside the perimeter, they're really good locking down outside the perimeter.
And bold take, this is going to be the best game of the tournament. It's my bold take.
Mr. Bold Take, man. If I had to give a bold take, I'd say that FAU has... I'd say bold take, FAU out-rebound San Diego State.
I like that take.
Because
I like that take.
Technically... FAU right now is out-rebounding them on the season stat-wise, but San Diego State is never a team to doubt.
Both teams are real solid.
Especially when you get down to the Final Four after everything we've seen all year, every team here is going to be solid, but these two teams...
I would say they're one of the top dogs.
Now, real quick, what game are you more excited for?
I would probably say this one, just because we'll get into it later with UConn and Miami. I just think UConn's very dominant.
Gotta some love to the U. Although they're in the ACC, they were the co-champions this year. And as a Pitt fan,
it hurts us.
It hurt. Oh, it hurts. No, but Miami, give them a lot of credit. I think it's a very interesting situation. We are going to dive in though. You are going to have to sit here and wait because we're going to have a quick commercial break, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening here at Sports with Sparky with Benicio DeFalco and Ethan Spazarski right here on 99.5 The Hive. Welcome back from your little music break. It never hurts to indulge your mind and listen to some music right after. It's actually scientifically proven as a great way to get your way through the day. Nonetheless, you are listening here to Sports with Sparky on WCYJ FM 99.5 The Hive. I'm Ethan Spazarski, your host, joined along with, again, the Italian stud, the Mafia man himself, Mr. Benicio Falco. If in case you missed it or you tuned in late, we are talking about the March Madness Final Four situation. We just broke down the San Diego State FAU game. A lot of good content to break down there, a lot of good team stuff and player stuff to talk about. However, we did agree San Diego State would be moving on as our predictions. Both takes, best game of the tournament, FAU out-rebounds, San Diego State decides the loss. So, now we're going to shift over to the other side of the bracket, the right side of the bracket, where the Miami Hurricanes of Florida will be taking on the University of Connecticut Huskies. Now again, Huskies are the only team of the Final Four that have won a national championship. A natty, as we like to call them, as the cool kids say. So, do you think that plays a factor in this game?
Not necessarily. I mean, I think as a not an organization, but like as a school that's been there, I would just say maybe coaching wise, but like not necessarily player wise. But with that being said, I gotta ask you: do you think UConn out of these 4 teams has the most to prove?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
just because they've been there.
I think they have. I think FAU and San Diego State have the most to prove technically because they've never been there before.
Mm-hmm.
But what UConn's been doing in that case, yeah, they have the most. They have the most to prove because they've been there before. In the past 2 games, they have destroyed their teams by 15 plus of a total margin.
That's what I'm saying. So like, even if they were to lose this game, I think it's a lot bigger than any of these other.
Yeah,
teams.
no, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. And
exactly.
The Huskies have been giving us quite the show, might I add. So the Huskies rode to where they are right now. The Huskies started out up here, or they started out over here on the right side of the bracket. They started in the West region. So they first took on St. Mary's. They beat St. Mary's by 15, 70-55. They then took on Arkansas after you know what? I lied. I apologize. UConn beat Iona. Yeah. I didn't scroll over all the way. Again, a lot of rookie mistakes here today. UConn beat Iona 87-63. Then they swiftly handled St. Mary's 70-55. Then they just owned the Arkansas Razorbacks after a dominant defeat over Kansas, number 1 seeded Kansas, 88-65. Then UConn again, another in the face of Drew Timme, a.k.a. Mr. Drew Himmey, and the Gonzaga Bulldogs, ripping the shot for Melinda Roeder, her alma mater, ripping the shot for Zeman and I for saying Zaga was going to win this game. But we got to give some love to our boy, Mr. Logan Lepiscopel. He's probably not listening right now because he's off to bigger and better things right now. Seeing the wife and kids. Not actually. Again, just a joke. He's with his girlfriend right now. But he said UConn was going to win. Shout out to the Huskies. It's always been the Huskies. And he was right. They just dominated from the start to finish. Zaga never looked like they were really in this game. So 3 straight weeks of UConn doing just slapping the heck out of any team they play.
UConn, they're a team going in the tournament. I think a lot of people thought they would have made noise, but I don't think anybody could have predicted they dominate the way they have, especially over Gonzaga, beating them by 28. Gonzaga, a team going in this tournament, they had some returning starters. A lot of people thought, they'd go further than they did, maybe even making the championship.
Even after losing the last 3 years, losing a lot of key guys, mainly to the draft and graduation, too. This team had lost a lot, but Drew Timme remained
like
there.
You said, Drew Timme staying there, always giving them Gonzaga fans hope, but coming up short to UConn by 28. Just UConn's ability to dominate in every category in this game, it was just insane to me. Even watching the game, I was like, wow.
This is something you don't expect, and if we were talking about, like, rebounds and, like, being able to UConn out-rebounded Zaga 48-40. Both teams had over 40 rebounds. But UConn shot 30 of 72. UConn took 72 shots.
It's a lot of shots.
They also took 31 of those 72 shots were threes. They hit 11. Zaga only hit 2. Zaga only shot 10% outside the 3. Free throws, again, UConn 11 of 14. Out-rebounded. They out-offensive rebounded, out-defensive rebounded. They out-assisted. They stole more balls. They blocked more balls. UConn had less turnovers. And only thing that I think you can punish about UConn is maybe the foul trouble. 18 fouls in this last game between the Zaga Bulldogs. And to look at specific player stats, Jay Hawkins, 20 points. Mr. Sonogo, 10 points. Caravan hit 12. And then their last two starters, Jackson Jr. and Newton, both hit 8. That's what you want to see out of a player in a team. But then also something you like seeing on the bench. You have two guys with 8 points on the bench, and then another guy with 6 points on the bench as well. So you got guys who, I mean, they're not scoring,
Yeah.
but they're putting up points.
That's exactly what you want from these bench players. I mean, sometimes you see a 6-man having a great role, but in a typical team, that's what you like to see from the bench. But the thing that really wows me about this UConn team isn't really in the stats, it's their height. Just watching these teams, it's like almost every one of their guys doesn't, I wouldn't say tower over everyone else, but like it seems like most of their guys are taller than everybody else out there on that court.
Yeah, that's
And
first.
It definitely gives them a big opportunity on the boards. But like we've been talking about this whole time, these teams remaining, they got good. They have a lot of success on the boards. So I think that it would just be a great matchup. All
Exactly, and I think another way you beat Zaga is when you really limit their best player, Drew Timmy. 12 points. He tied, and then I'm pretty sure he broke the record for most 20-point games in the March Madness tournament. He had 20 the first game, 30 the next.
What a turnaround for Timmy though. For him, like almost carrying. I don't want to say carrying because you saw other guys kind of put up a good effort, but Timmy like being the real focal point of the Gonzaga in the tournament. And he had great games. What was it? Back-to-back games.
Yeah, back-to-back games.
Yeah.
He had about 50 points.
Yeah, he just turned up.
Then you only hold him with 12 and 4 fouls.
Yeah, that's just what you want to see from UConn, and that's how they won the game pretty much. You shut him down, and Gonzaga really started to fall apart.
Zaga forced they had two guys over 30 minutes. The next leading minute guy is Smith off the bench. He had 26 points. The rest of the guys, no one had over 24 minutes. So, looking towards that, it again bigger, outplaying, out-rebounding, lasting longer. UConn is a stat category dominant team, but you can't say stat dominant without bringing up the Miami Hurricanes. The U. I mean, probably should do that deeper, like you, but for the sake of time. Miami kept it close with Drake in their first round matchup, 63-56. Drake nearly beat Miami, but that kind of was the wake-up call to the Miami Hurricanes as they then...
A lot of people stressing.
They said,
first.
And they came out 85-69, dominant win over the Indiana Hoosiers. Then the most impactful win of the tournament, 89-75, beating of the Houston COUGARS Cougars, the number 1 overall seed in the Midwest. Technically, they were kind of compared with Bama and Houston were technically like the true number 1 overall seeds that people were talking about. So they were able to dethrone the Beast. And then they dehorned the Longhorns. Horns down for this game, 88-81 victory over the Texas Longhorns, a team that had a 14-point lead over Miami. But per usual, Miami, being the full game dominant team that they are, they exposed Houston and Texas for their second half struggles for what we've seen for most of this year. Texas took Kansas to the ropes in the second half, but since then they've really been struggling in the second half. Talk to me about what you've seen so far from Miami this whole tournament.
So earlier on the week, you came on our show, and I felt like looking back on it, I almost disrespected Miami a little bit, saying UConn was going to dominate this game. But looking back on who they played on, this Miami team, they're not nobodies. Beating a hard Indiana team, Indiana being the 4 seed, a lot of people thought Indiana would make some noise in this tournament. I saw some people had them beating Houston in the Sweet 16. But me personally, I did not have that. But Houston, another team that they beat, like I said, being the number 1 seed, a lot of people had Houston winning it all this year, being that they'd be pretty much playing at home for their last game.
With Jim.
Yeah. And then also being Texas, Texas another good team in this tournament. Like Miami, these are hard teams to beat. I mean, like almost everybody remaining has had a hard path, but I think Miami's had the hardest.
Isaiah Wong. When I say that name, you gotta go, oh crap, he's here, look out. Isaiah Wong, I talked about him last week as a defining factor for this Hurricanes. He's kind of stepped up as that top guy that everyone looks at. 33 minutes a game. He's shooting 45% from field goal range, 38 from three. Free throws at 84%. Those are all actually really good numbers. 4 rebounds, 3 assists, averages 16 points a game. A guy you can really lean upon, and especially for this. I mean, especially for the Houston game, Isaiah Wong finished with only 14 points, not the most. Miller finished the most with 17 points in that game. But the Indiana Hoosiers game, the game that really jump-started this dominant run that
kind
they
of put
had.
the world on the map.
That's kind of where you put him on the map officially. Isaiah Wong finished 27 points in that game. Never something you don't want to look at. Never underestimate another man. He, especially from three, he was a menace. He was 4 for 6 from the outside the arc, just raining his threes.
That's a thing I wanted to say. I would say Miami, of these remaining teams, are probably the best shooting the three. I would probably say they're the best team shooting the ball. As when they beat Houston, they shot 51% from the field. That's very good, making more than half your shots, and then
they saw 59
they
the
beat
next.
Texas. Yeah, they beat Texas. They saw 59 the next. That's very solid. You don't see that too much. Like we said, we've been looking at the numbers this whole time. 51 and 59%. That's we haven't seen that really too much. So I think Miami going into this game, they're going to have to shoot the ball very well, and they need to come into this game with the "we deserve to be here" moment. UConn obviously being very dominant, but they deserve to be in here just as much as UConn does, and that's the mindset they have to have going into it.
Exactly. I mean, Texas even shot 50% too, but I think whenever you look at Texas from this point, it's the shots they didn't make, and that stinks to look at a negative mindset like that. But when you lose the game, it's somewhere you got to look. All right, yeah, we made 50% of our shots, but we also missed 50% of our shots.
Texas shot the three very well.
They did, 10 of 25. Miami only shot 2 of 8. I get the percentages are different because it is a low scoring. If you only shoot 8 threes, that's not a lot considering your one guy hit 4 2 games before.
And Miami was down like 14 at some point in this game.
Mid-second half.
It was almost like I was stressing a little bit. I had Miami beating Texas. I thought it was almost out of reach. Coming into it, going into overtime, I thought Miami definitely had overtime because they started to get that momentum late. But yeah, just being down 14 points is crazy to come back from being at what was like, how much time was left? Like 5 minutes left. They were
somewhere around there.
Yeah, they were able to cut the deficit. I mean, it was just a crazy game. Very hard fought.
Yeah.
I mean, it's March Madness. That's what you expect.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people are paying to watch and see,
Yeah.
including ourselves. I mean, I know there's fingers crossed. There's talks in next year the comm department taking a trip because they're going to be in Pittsburgh next year.
Yeah.
To go see some March Madness.
I'd definitely love to do that. Me personally, I know they come here a lot, and I haven't had the opportunity to go down. Usually school's going on similar time, so it's hard to get down there. But yeah, if they come next year, it's definitely something I'd look into.
Oh, 100%.
Especially Pitt's in it.
No,
Definitely help.
Don't tempt me with a good time. Don't tempt me with a good time. All right, so kind of looking towards this game, Miami, as we mentioned, the last 2 games shot over 50%. Their average on the season is 48. So, very solid shooting team. They shoot 36 from outside the arc, which is better than UConn. Free throw wise, they shoot better than UConn. Rebound wise, they get out rebounded by UConn by an average of 5 rebounds. Steal wise, it goes to Miami. Blocks wise, going back to UConn. That's size again. Always bring it back up to size. Turnovers, UConn. And fouls, UConn. So, Miami may not be the biggest team, but on paper, they're set up to potentially beat these UConn Huskies.
I would say of the teams in this tournament, I would say Miami's got the best chance to upset UConn. Just UConn, they just look so good, but I think Miami, if they can just use their hot hand, they got a real serious chance in this game.
100%. No, you got to be able to, and I'm even okay. Yeah, you only take 8 threes. That's fine. I'd rather you be sure that you can get inside and make those shots off the backboard, force a foul when you're going up. I wouldn't want to risk or force a 3 that's not there.
Yeah, that's another thing I wanted to mention. Watching Miami versus Texas, some will say it was because they were down, but it seemed a lot Miami was running down, rushing shots. That's something they can't do versus UConn. It's simple. You got to wind the clock down a little bit and try to get that best shot available.
Exactly. No, and I get it. When you got some tall guys, that's great. But if you can beat them inside,
Yeah.
you can force them down low. That can happen. I mean, and we've seen San Diego State again. I'll say it again. They were pushed to the ropes. They were pushed to the limits, being up in some foul trouble there as well. If that's how Miami's going to do it, if you get inside, if you force them, if you try to play the perimeter of the three and you get inside, get that edge, you can take it. For God's sakes, Noel's 5'8", and he's hitting 30-point games, 25-point
Noah's
games.
5'8", and he was honestly one of the best players in the tournament.
Exactly. No, Isaiah Wong has potential to do that there. I mean, granted, Isaiah Wong's 6'4", so there's a little bit of a difference there. If I mean, by a hair, wink, wink. But no, I fully think Miami. I agree with you on that take. Miami has the best chance to beat UConn up in this matchup because of where they are. Do you think also? So the ACC in football, it's no doubt, no question, the ACC conference has kind of become a joke.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
A laughing stock.
I mean, they still have good football, I would say, but with SEC, Big Ten, it's just hard to compete in football.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, basketball, where would you put? Would you say ACC's legit?
Yeah, I would say they're one of the better conferences.
Minus Virginia.
Yeah. We see these teams make the tournament almost every year. I wouldn't say they're the best, but I would definitely put them up there for sure.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I think the SEC, again, is something that you gotta look at. I think Big 12.
Yeah.
Big 12. I'd say, honest, if I had to rank, I'd go Big 10, SEC, ACC.
Now, I gotta ask you, for basketball, would you say there's like a clear-cut one? Like, there's some
ACC?
people say football, the SEC is the clear-cut number one.
Oh, conference.
Yeah. Would you say for what would you say for basketball? Is there a clear
I'd say the
cut?
Big 12.
Is there a clear cut though?
If I had to pick, Big 12.
Okay.
Not clear cut, though.
Yeah.
Not clear cut.
That's my point here. Is I think basketball it's pretty much anyone's game.
No, it is. And there's a lot of teams that you got to hate. For God's sakes, Kansas State was picked to finish last in Big 12.
Yeah.
And they made it to the Elite Eight, and they almost made it to the Final Four. Granted, they didn't, but if you still put up the points, times, and the highlights, that's important. You proved the doubters wrong. I mean, especially with TCU in there, they pushed Zaga to the limits too,
did.
Forcing them to score really late. It was a buzzer beater kind of feel, definitely for that. But I mean, and I've been to some like pit games and some ACC contender games. I've seen both women's and men's. I saw men's play Wake Forest. I've seen the women play Miami. So like, I don't know. College basketball's a feel that is honestly the greatest feeling.
Yeah.
Besides the whiteout game at Penn State, I truly don't believe there's any other feeling for a college student unless they're at a basketball game.
Yeah. That's really
Would
been.
you agree with that?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I've been saying it for years. I would take college over the pros any day, just from the environment, the atmosphere. Nobody's playing under contract. They're all fighting to make the league. You know, nobody's really fighting to.
You're fighting.
I mean, you see it nowadays with the NIL deals, but even the be able to get those NIL deals, you got to be able to back it up. So,
exactly. For God's sakes, LeBron James is making $7.2 million as a college student. Or excuse me, I lied. I'm sorry. He's a senior high school student. My bad. And he's projected in next year. He's expected to play 1 year of college and just go to the pros. That any kid who can make 7.2. Although granted, if his dad wasn't LeBron James, that would not be the case.
I will say with Bronny though, he's definitely a talented player. We saw him do good in the McDonald's All-American game, putting up 15 points, all of them being threes. He had 5 threes, obviously, but I think he's a good player. But I think the best thing for him would be go to a school, stay there for around 2 years, because I don't think he's a one and done guy. I think he's definitely a good player, but if he wants to be one of the top picks, I think he stays 2 years, let him develop.
Kind of like what we were talking about when you get the ball off inbounding. Yeah. You got 30 seconds. Let it play develop.
Yeah, definitely different from LeBron. I just hope he doesn't, I think it's been good from what we've seen from Bronny. He didn't really try to be like LeBron. Like, from a playing perspective, they're completely different. Bronny's more of that guard type of role, where LeBron's more forward. But we've seen Bron, play the point many times in his career. But I think Bronny, he just has to go on his own path here. Don't try to be like anyone. Just go on his own path. Stay those 2 years.
Exactly.
Just ball out.
Exactly. Getting us back to the path is, honestly, though, I enjoyed the little segue we went on, focusing on this Huskies-Miami game. So, I mean, just it's, what are you most excited for this game specific? Is there a specific aspect of this game you're most excited for?
Just a shot that we could see a serious upset in Miami.
This would technically it is an upset if Miami was
Yeah.
to beat the Huskies. It's 5-4.
Just with how dominant UConn has looked, beating every team by 15 points. It's
Pretty
just,
much the last
yeah,
3 games.
The last 3 games beating every team by 15 points. I mean, they're just hot and they're dominating. So for a chance to see an upset here would be huge. Miami being a team that's not always up there in the Final Four, it would be great to see.
The biggest contest UConn's going to have to face this year, that I can say with confidence, so far, until probably the national championship game, which we believe the team that wins is going to be against San Diego State.
Mm-hmm.
Now, score predictions. Benicio, you have the floor.
I've been hyping up this Miami team a lot, but however, I'm going to go with UConn. I think UConn. I don't think they dominate this game. I think Miami, they've proven enough. I think they really fight. They just can't rush anything. So like I said, really just take it down for the best shot. I think UConn wins this game by, I would say, like 5 or 6 points. But I think those are 5 or 6 points that are late, maybe even due to fouls. Give me like a 72-65 game.
I'm going to go a different route than you on this one. I'm not saying UConn winning is not going to happen. I think it is a high possibility. I think this is a 51-50% chance kind of ordeal, no question about it. Maybe even a 50.9 to like a 40, like a 50 point something else, or a 49.1. Like it's very, very close in what these two teams can do and bring to the table. But I think it's the foul troubles what scares me for UConn.
Yeah.
And I think for the first time they're going to be tested and put to the limits of what a team's going to bring to them. I think
for sure.
Miami's a better late second half team than UConn is too. Late second halves and fouls. Can they control? Can they control in the glass? Can you be able to use your? I mean, granted, can you use your size to your advantage? And if UConn's going to win, it's going to be off of just blocking the important shots.
Mm-hmm.
Block all of them because Miami the last 2 games has shot over 50%. You can't. They shoot 48 on the year. The probability of Miami making another 48% is pretty high.
Yeah.
Can you stop the important, crucial shots come down to it? The last 5 minutes of the game. For every game are the most important, but in really close games, which this is going to be, that's going to be, can you do that? They also 4 more fouls in Miami, like I talked about before. Because Miami's, they have a better free throw shooting percentage than the UConn Huskies do. Granted, it's not by much, but it's still there. So that is that take on that. So San Diego State, FAU. We both have San Diego State. Huskies of UConn versus Miami Hurricanes. We have 1 Husky, 1 vote Hurricane. We're going to find out. We're going to see Sunday because then the national championship game is Monday.
Yeah, I have a following question. Do you think that's enough time for these players to really?
They don't have a choice, but
Yeah.
But honestly, yeah, because I don't think it just makes sense to play. I mean, even for these elite Sweet 16, Elite 8, every time they play, between first, second round, they have a day or two.
Yeah.
Sweet 16 to Elite 8, a day or two. And then Final Four, Championship, a day or two. Between the second round and Sweet 16 and Elite 8 and Final Four is enough time. So I think it is enough time, honestly. And you're being forced to do that.
I think it makes it almost exciting, like almost as exciting too, because I mean they have like a somewhat idea of who they're gonna play. They're gonna watch films on 2 teams. They'll have a general idea, but I think it almost makes it exciting for like what are we gonna get? Like you have a lot of film on these teams, but you're only cutting in like into detail for like a day on these teams.
Very true. So now. So we're not going to be able to. There won't be another Sports with Sparky before the championship game. San Diego State, UConn, for you, and then we'll do mine. San Diego State, UConn. Who wins that game?
Going into it, I really wanted to take UConn, but I'm gonna go with the upset here. I think San Diego State's defense gets it done. Give me a San Diego State victory.
San Diego State victory over the UConn Huskies. Very, very possible chance. I think I can see when any one of these teams winning a national championship.
That's the hardest part about this. I would say it's like all these teams match up very well.
Very good point. I personally am gonna go if I was to choose between the Huskies and the Aztecs, I'd go Aztecs with you as well.
Now, what about your
my prediction? Miami versus Aztecs, 2 5 seeds, battling it out. Uncoincidentally, between my little fun facts that I spit out there, between these two teams, first ever 5 seed to win a national championship, would indeed and in fact be, I think, honestly, respectfully, San Diego State. Either way, I'm gonna take I'm gonna take the Aztecs, no matter who wins on that side. Now, if FAU were to win and Miami goes on,
I'm rooting for
Miami.
FAU.
I'm taking Miami.
I'm rooting for FAU. If they were to win this game, I'm riding with America's team. I'm riding with the house. I'm riding with the house.
I just think San Diego State, they're going to be forced, again, another team that's forced for the last 5 minutes to play pretty much perfect basketball if it's a close game. But I think San Diego State's just put themselves in a better position right now. But if San Diego State and Miami play each other in the national championship, I think that's the best possible outcome.
Yeah.
Again, any one of these teams can win a national championship. I don't want to take anything away from anybody. I don't think anything's impossible.
Do you think San Diego State, if they were to make the chip, differs to score at all? Like, do you think it's still a high-scoring game, or do you think it's more low-scoring?
I'm going to say it would be anywhere between 65 to 75 points.
Yeah, I agree with you. Usually when it comes to the national championship, both teams are playing at their highest.
Miami, FAU, and now I'm reaching into the 70s, maybe even 80s. Because both these teams are more equally matched size-wise and skill-wise and depth-wise, from what I see. But for Aztecs, the fact that, again, this what we've seen from this team, what they do on the perimeter, forcing teams to go inside and make mistakes. Again, sometimes a little inconsistent, but I think they're able to work around it, and just at the end of the day, they win the games. If you can do that, at the end of the day, win the games that you need to win, that's what's most important for me. So I take Aztecs either way. Unless FAU wins, then I take Miami.
I like that take.
What would you take if FAU were to win? If FAU were to win,
I'll probably go with whoever ends up winning on that UConn Miami side. But who I'd be rooting for in my heart would be the Owls. I would like you said, like I keep saying, they're almost like America's team at this point.
They got the colors.
Yeah, no one really had them here. So if they were to make the championship, I'd root for them, but I'd ultimately have UConn
root for the Pirates. Sorry,
shout out the Bucks though.
The Buccos. They won their game yesterday. Holy crap! They won. That's insane.
We're back.
No, I'm completely joking. But I posted on Twitter. I want to see if you remember. Well, do you remember the exact date the last time the Penguins and the Buccos won on the same day?
Is it 2017?
2017's a year. Do you
a date?
Complete bonus points for exact day. It's in the second half of the year. So between July and December. And fun fact, baseball doesn't go to December.
This is interesting. Is this I'm gonna say, November? Late November, early September?
It's actually...
Or late September, early November?
Just to make sure I get the correct date. Actually, you know what? I lied to you. I completely lied to you. I'm sorry. No, including the preseason, it's September 25th, 2019. Not including the preseason. You know what? I own my mistake, guys. It's my bad. He's a great guesser, because April 15th, 2017. I posted 2 answers. That's on me. Completely. Great guess, though. Really good guess. Late September. Again, the Pirates and Penguins won on the same day yesterday for the first time since 2017. If I don't include preseason in that, because it's pre-season.
Yeah, it's not gonna affect their record at all. So
no, it's not. But it's funny. There were games where they played on the same day. But it was during that COVID era. It was hard because the Penguins games would be postponed and the Pirates would play and lose.
It's hard to get a Buccos win.
It's hard to get. It really is. They won 62 and 100 last year.
I do think. I'm not the biggest baseball fan.
No, me either.
I've been getting into it a lot more, but I'm kind of excited for this year. Obviously, having Andrew McCutchen back in the city, it was huge for the city. No matter what he does, just the fact to get him back pretty much put a smile on everyone's face.
He did. He got walked 3 times. Both of the fastest pitches in MLB history, he was at the plate to see. One hit him, and one went low ball.
And this is my message to the Pirates. Please keep O'Neal Cruz. Please, thank God. Just keep him on the roster.
I love, even when Logan does it too, the look, the seriousness, and the point. It's effective, right to the point. In case again you're new to the show, we do have some cameras in the studio. We post our content on YouTube as well. Again, at Espos Productions, ESPOZ Productions. If in case you miss any of these, or you want to go back and watch the clowns and myself go at it on YouTube. Benicio, you want to plug your stuff before we call it a day?
Just real quick, 7 a.m. every Wednesday. Tune in. We don't have a show name yet, but Dean Shazer with myself. I mean, we had Spose on last week. He'll probably be a reoccurring guest.
Always, as long as they get the invite.
7 mornings.
I'm there.
Wednesday mornings.
Honestly, I feel more efficient when I get up that early. Like that day, I got up at 7, didn't go to bed till 12:30, and I felt like I just was the most effective of my time.
Well,
as much as I'd love to
the
sleep.
good part about it, I mean, Dean and I, we complained about it early on was waking up, but waking up at 7 and like we're talking the whole time, so we really wake up.
Yeah.
So like once that hour's done, I'm good for the day.
Breakfast sandwich.
Yeah, I'm good for the day after that.
No, and then going after get the breakfast sandwich was definitely the play. Highly, and we got class at you eat 10 or 2 that we go to for math, so like we're definitely up by then. But once you get moving, it's honestly not that bad. High school or middle school me would highly disagree and probably want to throw hands with that statement. But I think honestly, as a college student waking up early, while for the first 10 minutes it stinks, it gets better. Now, if I wake up at 7:30 a.m. and I have to sit still for an hour and 15 minutes in English,
Completely different story.
That's a different story where I'm ready to be like, no, I want to sleep in. But if I get up, I sit down, do what I love, talk, and then go out and eat breakfast with the boys, and then I get an efficient day's work done,
I'm up.
I'm ready. If the first 3 hours I'm up, I did a hour-long radio show and then 30 math problems of GCF and LCM, I'm ready to go, baby. And nonetheless, that is going to do it with us here today for Sports with Sparky. If, again, YouTube, like, subscribe, please comment stuff you want to hear us talk about, any corrections, anything you want to say on the radio side of things. This has been Sports with Sparky on WCYJ FM 99.5 The Hive. Make sure to tune in every Friday from 3 to 5 to listen to all the best sports content, mainly football, hockey. We also range to college basketball now as well. Probably a little baseball next week. Kind of be silly if I didn't. Nonetheless, from Benicio to Falco, the Italian Mafia man, to Spose, the crazy guy behind the mic, we appreciate the love. We'll see you guys next week. Have a great weekend and a great rest of your time.